Let's talk about how to pay off high interest debt in 2026. So, whether you know it or not, Americans have the most credit card debt they've ever had. And the average interest rate now for credit card debts is around 22%, which is nuts. I've seen numbers from 22 to 26%. Either way, it's a big number. Americans have $1.25 trillion in credit card debt right now. If you were to put those dollar bills next to each other, that's over 700 miles. That's Dallas to Denver. Think about that. Doing a road trip and the entire however many hours that's going to be, 14 hours of driving, you're going to see dollar bills stacked on top of each other. That's how much 1.25 trillion. So we're going to talk about how to pay off the high interest debt in 2026. So the first step you need to do, or that someone would need to do if they do have that high interest debt, is to figure out just where they are and know what they owe, know what you owe. Right. So go through and look at all your balances, your interest rates, your minimum payments, find out all those things. How much do what is your income that you actually get to keep? What are your expenses? I use a spreadsheet. We'll put a link somewhere around here. It's a tracker. It's not a budget. There's two different things, right? So I use it as a money tracker. Where did the money go? At the end of each month, Caroline and I look at it and say, okay, and at this point, we've been married for 20 years. And we've been doing it for our entire dating, life, even before we got married. Um, but we'll figure out where did the money go. And so the part we now need to control is just the fun stuff, the travel stuff, because ultimately I can tell you how much I spend on groceries. I can tell you how much I spend on auto repairs and all that stuff, on average. So I think a tracker is super important, but if you're truly serious about tackling this debt, you need to get a budget. And what's the difference? The budget says, here's how much I will spend. And you stay in that guideline. And it's real hard today. It is because Amazon is so easy to click a button and it just shows up at your door and it gets lost and it just comes in as one big Amazon charge, right? You don't know how much you spent on this, that, or the other. So I have heard, for example, I know there's this cash method where you put your grocery money in one envelope and you put your fund money in another envelope and you have all these envelopes and then pay each month from those envelopes. And when they're done each month, you're done. And I understand that's in theory. I like that idea. I just don't know how that practical that is on the reality. So it really is going to take some just serious commitment to go through and just stay organized. And it sucks because it's hard. And I'm a type A, man, that's tough. It just is. So again, the budget piece is the best, the tracker, in my opinion. Stay on it and just understand where you are. That's step one on paying off high interest rate debt, especially here in 2026. Number two, it seems pretty obvious, but again, it's amazing how many people don't make these phone calls. Ask for a lower interest rate. See if you can refinance, or if it's a credit card, can you transfer that balance? And I don't want you to play credit card roulette, forever. But if you can transfer to a lower interest rate, more power to you. If you can refinance and save a few bucks, more power to you. Just make sure the refinance, by the way, is worth it. If it's a mortgage, absolutely reach out to the mortgage market team. We'll make sure it actually is worth it for you to spend that money. But whether it's a car or credit cards that you can do, anything you can do to kind of consolidate those things and make them better on one lower credit card. And one note on debt consolidation companies. Be very, very, very careful. I'm very weary. I actually don't have one to recommend because I've not seen a good one out there. I think debt consolidations are very expensive. I think they absolutely destroy your credit because I've heard real facts where people have called me and they said, "Well, what's this late for?" And they explained that the debt consolidation company said they had to be 90 days late in order for them to negotiate uh, with the creditor. They had to say you had to be 90 days late to show that there's some sort of distress. If you do that, just understand that your credit's going to get hit hard and it will take a very long time. It takes seconds to destroy and years to build back. So I would just be very, very, very cautious of any debt consolidation companies and programs and really understand what it is you're doing. Because again, I don't have a real good taste in my mouth for those. So just keep that in mind. So again, in terms of paying off high interest rate debt in 2026, one is know what you owe. Two, lower your interest rates if you can. Three is pick a strategy and then stick with it, right? So you can have the most famous one that people are like, oh, the snowball method. The snowball method, for those that don't know, is you take whichever has the smallest balance and you put all your efforts towards paying that off. And then once it's done, you take that new cash flow and you put it towards this now the next smallest one, or the one that was the smallest one, is gone, the next smallest one. And you do that. And the snowball gets bigger and bigger because as you pay things off, your monthly, cash flow grows and grows, and you get to put more of that bigger snowball towards the next one until it's all paid off. I think that's wonderful. I think that's a great theory. The reality is there's sometimes the avalanche, as people call it, the avalanche method, where you say, let's just put it all and go after the high interest rates. I think that use your head. So for example, if there's a $5,000 balance on a credit card sitting at 26%, whatever the average is, and there's the $3,000 balance, so smaller, sitting there with 0%, go after the 5 grand. I mean, it's got 26% interest on that. Go tackle that sucker first, knock that out, then go after the 3,001 at $0. So I think there's some pieces, and all things equal. Yeah, if you got a $3,000 balance at 26 or even at 22 and 5,000 at 26, yeah, go after the small one. Do the snowball method. So understand that's the theory. Stay with it, but there is room for common sense to say do this or don't do that. Step four, in terms of paying off high interest rate debt in 2026, step four is get a budget and automate it. Right. So we've talked about the budget. And so now the idea is that if you can cut spending somewhere, maybe you called and got a lower interest rate, or you did refinance, or you created some newfound cash flow, or the snowball method, you paid one off, automate it. Anytime Caroline and I would refinance, anytime we do in the future too, whenever we create newfound cash flow, we immediately change our auto drafts for where we want the money to go. So in this instance, if you're paying off debt to company X and you just freed up $300 a month, increase that auto draft. So at least if nothing else, you don't have to see it, because when the money's sitting in your bank account, it gets really easy to spend, or for it to get lost and go somewhere that you're not even paying attention to. So again, I would absolutely say automate what you can, right? It's easier said than done. I understand that. But I would say do what you can to automate that. And then the budget piece, cut your discretionary spending. And I understand, okay, man, my kids are only young once, want to go to Disney. Look, Mickey's awesome, but guess what? You can also go, like if I'm in Dallas, go to San Antonio, go to Fiesta, Texas, right? It's still a vacation. It'll still create memories. You guys will have a great time. But the reality is, cut the discretionary spending and then find that extra cash flow and then automate that. And the quicker you do that, the quicker you'll get those high interest rate debts paid off. Um, Number five is, if you can, bring in more money, right? So now that we've attacked the debt, we're paying stuff off, we've automated it. If you can make a few extra bucks here and there, and even if it's not forever, but in today's gig economy, whether it's driving Uber or Lyft or Uber Eats or doing Fiverr or doing something, Etsy, whatever it is, if any way you can add some extra money into the bank account and obviously pay that off, the faster you get out from underneath that big, crushing, high interest rate debt, the quicker you're going to be at making where you can go back to quote normal living and start saving and putting money away. So that way you don't have to incur these high interest rates again in the future. And then the last one, and this is my opinion, the most important. This is finding both the right tools and the right team. Finding the right tools, meaning if there's the budget tracker we talked about, right? Or just the budget or the money tracker, it's automating things, having those tools in place, whether some that you can track stuff or flag stuff or whatever it may be. The other part is hire. Now you don't have to hire anybody. You could, if you want to hire, a financial planner or somebody like that to work with you to do this. But find an accountability partner. That's what it means by team. Even if you're a single person, you're like, oh man, I don't, you know, I'm doing this by my lonesome. Find a friend. Even just speaking it into existence with a friend, saying, hey man, will you hold me accountable? Will you check in on me once a month? Or is it all right if I report to you what to do? I'm telling you, having that accountability partner is huge. So if it's a professional like a CPA or financial planner or somebody of that nature, great. If it's even just a friend or a buddy that you can go in and say, here's how we do it. But those are the big things I would say, that if you want to pay off high interest rate debt in 2026, you got to, number one, get a plan, right? Figure out where you're at. See if you can lower the interest rates, pick a strategy, and then, and do it consistently. Consistency is a key word, right? And then try to automate as much as you can so you stay consistent. If you can bring in a few more bucks, do it. But most importantly, find that person that's there in your corner, that's going to be your cheerleader, going to encourage you, and understand that if you got a hard decision of which one to attack first, at least get an outsider's perspective. So to me, those are six great ways or six great methods as far as how to pay off the high interest rate debt in 2026. Certainly, if you have some different opinions or if you have something that might help, let us know. You can comment. I'm sure there's something down below where you can let us know your feedback. And feel free to reach out to the Mortgage Marketing. We do this for a living. We're here to help. Whether you're buying a house or not, we have to give you our 2 cents on what we think would work. And remember, when you think mortgage,